Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Gaston's White River Resort, and Barton Power Sports. Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790, talking outdoors for the next 90 minutes. And it is September. It is that, and that voice you hear is one of the co-hosts. That's part of our Daryl and Daryl, Brother Daryl act here. It's Dave Gabbert, Region 1, TWRA, Minister of Propaganda, and Gene Smith sitting over with me, Hunter Education Guru. And normally we'll be taking your calls on this first Saturday of the month, but we're not. We're jammed up. We're going to talk TWRA for about the next 90 minutes, because a lot of
everything you never need to know.
Yes, and we're going to start right out with the answer man himself. That's right. This is our man in
we know people.
our man in position right now to talk a lot, and that's our good friend Bill Cox from Collierville. He's a member of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. Note that I got that right on the first time. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. No, Bill. No, we can never confuse you with somebody else. That's for sure. From the number one downtown in the whole United States, Collierville. And you're proud of that, aren't you? I think it's a wonderful honor. Parade Magazine did recently, and if you haven't been out, there's something wrong with you. You know.
Get out there quick now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you can get out there quick with Poplar if you just know what time of day to go, and everything. We're talking to Bill Cox. He's a member of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, our man based out of Collierville, Tennessee, talking primarily about last Thursday and Friday, the commission met in Jackson. I hope there was a good crowd there to come and step forward, because those Thursdays are when you have a chance to really see the commission in action. Of course, you do have a chance now to have that live streaming as we've gone to technology and things along that line. But
to be honest with you, Larry, I'm disappointed, and I know that people work for a living, and I know that it's difficult for them to get off on a Thursday or a Friday, and I completely understand that. But there's not a lot of public participation unless there is something that is extremely controversial, changing the deer buck limit, or we had a big crowd. We tried to go to a duck blind draw, but the public's typically not engaged, and I guess that's good and bad. But I think they trust the agency and the commission to do the right thing for the most number of people for the right reason, and we try to do that. And we've got the agency biologists we've got and are great, and they do a good job. And the commission we've got now has different personalities from what we've had before. There are a lot of thoughtful people on the commission that don't come in, I don't believe, with any preconceived notions or ideas. They're open-minded. They discuss, and not to say we didn't have a lot of that previously, but there were some camps, I'll say, in the previous commissions that had some preconceived ideas about the way things should be, rather than an open dialogue and deciding. You can feel one way or the other, but after you discuss, you might be changed. And we have an excellent commission and agency. So I think the people trust us to make the right decision make the decision for the right reason for the most number of people, and that's what we try to do.
Well, I know that a lot of folks say, well, if they had it on a Saturday, I might be able to get there. But then you run into all sorts of other things going on in these days and times. And
I've asked that question, and they held it on Saturday before I got on the first time, and their experience was much similar to this. People have other things to do.
That's exactly, because I've been to
And I think also there's some ignorance, I guess, say, for the lack of a better word, but there's a disconnect between hunters and fishermen and how things work and how the decisions are made. And there's a large percentage, a surprising percentage, I'll bet, and y'all might disagree, but there's a surprising percentage that don't know about the agency or the commission. They don't have any idea how that process works, so you're asking a question that people may or may not know. People watching your show, I'm sure, do. But I'll bet you 50% of the hunters and fishermen in this state do not know how that decision is made.
Well, to me, that's a sad thing, simply because there's so much information available now, whatever it might be. And we've gone, technology is so much better than it used to be. And I know your phone is listed in the hunting guide. People can call you, and I know you get calls and things along that line. So
I do, and I'm fine with that. My cell phone's in there, and my office phone is in there, and I don't get a lot of calls. I do get a few, but I don't get a lot of calls like some of the others do for some reason. But I do get a lot of calls.
Well, we appreciate.
Yep. I think next year the season doesn't close till the 31st of January. I've got friends that have hunting areas that rely on rainwater and runoff to fill their areas. And I've got a friend that hunts up at Friendship, Tennessee. The year before last, he didn't hunt at all on his place because he got no water. So the later it is, the more likely you are to have water for your duck hole, and that's why they want it late and straight most of the time. But there's a concern about the crops being ready and the water in the holes and all those kinds of things. So you go too early, it's detrimental to although we don't have a lot of ducks this early anyway, local ducks, but they like to wait as long as they can.
Well, Bill, we appreciate it. Folks, this is going to be a chance to kick it off with Bill Cox, and we're going to talk to Daryl Ratajczak, Joe Benedict, Jim Hamilton, and Major Brian Thompson. This is going to be a chance for you folks out there to
you got all the experts on this morning. I'll say one more quick thing.
Yeah.
If you don't hunt and fish and you enjoy the outdoors and conservation and bird watching and hiking and whatever it might be, TWRA probably touches your life environmentally or hunting, fishing, conservation. Buy a license and help support the agency and the great things that they do. Go to tnwildlife.org and look at the things other than hunting and fishing the agency is involved in. We have a fantastic agency, and I urge everybody to go out and just donate money. Just donate $28. Federal match is $14. It turns into $42, and it helps fund these great programs.
$28. That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
I mean, that's all.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Well, Bill, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, and thanks for all the work you do. And I've got it down now. It is the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission with Bill Cox. Thank you, Bill.
You're getting old, Larry.
All right, Bill. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you. Have a great day.
Y'all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's take our first break of the morning. We've got Gene Smith and Dave Gabbard in studio. Justin Wooten taking care of us on this first Saturday in September on ESPN 790.
Now back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Gaston's White River Resort, and Barton Power Sports.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Talking outdoors we do every Saturday morning for 90 minutes, and our 14th year rolling along here. And this is first Saturday.
Seemed like last year was
I just like to ask for a pay, and I always get raises. All right, here we go. But talking to Dave Gabbard, Gene Smith in studio. That's right, yeah. Well, we won't talk about the dove season. We will later on. But this is normally Open Mic Saturday. We're not taking calls today. Justin Wooten is our show producer. We'll get back in October. We'll be doing that, but we're devoting a lot of today's show. We want to squeeze as much information, not that your calls aren't important. And I ask that you go to lroutdoors.com, sign the guest book. We're giving away a lot of prizes through the website where all this information is posted. But there's been so much going on in the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency recently, particularly with last week's commission meeting in Jackson where a lot of important things were decided. And so thanks to Dave Gabbard's help here lining up this show, which is a wonderful information. Your booking fee, yeah, we'll book you, all right. So we started off with Bill Cox, our good friend from Collierville, member of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission, explaining how they going through the process of setting season and things along that line. So right now we're going to switch to Daryl Ratajczak, TWRA Wildlife Division Chief. Good morning, Daryl.
Good morning, Larry. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great today, and again, I did not get the card in the mail. Let's get this out of the way in a hurry. You know and I've told Dave and Gene that when I get drawn for the elk hunt, and I'm nanny, I want y'all to really take good care of me when you push me out there on the observation tower. Okay,
we'll hold the gun and everything for you.
Yeah, well,
you gotta squeeze the trigger then.
I can squeeze the trigger. I can squeeze it. All right. Well, tell us. I know we've drawn. This will be, what year is this for the elk hunt? To this?
I believe it started in 2009, so this is going to be the fifth
year. Yeah, and I'm looking at the applicants were down from last year, right? A little bit. Or?
Not much, just a smidge, but so as not to paint a poor picture of it, we are still up tremendously. At one point in 2012, we were down to about 6,000 applicants, but now we're up towards 10,000 applicants.
Oh, okay.
It was because we changed the timing of the draw to coincide with the big game WMA. Obviously, elk are big game, and they hunt on a WMA, so we felt we'd throw that in the mix, and we get that elk hunt in front of a lot more eyes by just changing the timing of the application.
Well, I did get drawn for President's Island for one of the archery hunts down there, but it wasn't my friend. Yeah, what my friend? He may be listening this morning, but he put in our names, and I told him do not put in anything but December hunt. So I guess that means we got drawn in October. I lost my point. Yeah, right. So I'm back in the barrel again, right?
Yeah, you're at the bottom rung on the list.
That's what I thought. So it may be 90 before I get that one too again, but. Hey, we're talking to Daryl Ratajczak, TWRA Wildlife Division Chief, and but Daryl, so what did the elk hunt go for this year in the bidding war?
That was also another pleasant surprise. We almost got $10,000 for that tag. It was $9,700 around.
Wow. Okay.
And so the fact that we're floating around $10,000 for that one tag is a tremendous boost for our agency, because that money comes back to us to help with the management of that area. And so it was a pleasant surprise to see that tag still fetching that amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a reverse philosophy here. The gentleman's from Montana, and he's coming to Tennessee to hunt.
Wow. This guy's
just so you know, he's originally lived in Tennessee for quite some time, and he moved out to Montana, and I think he felt it would have been very special to take an elk in his home state.
Oh, we got to get that guy on the radio. Maybe I hook that guy up and talk to him. Coming
Bring
from
him out, would you?
Yeah, coming from Montana, and I'd like to thank him for doing that and everything, to come down here to. But I know the elk herd, and we talk deer a lot, and of course we're all fired up. We're getting ready to start the bow season really quickly here. But tell us a little bit about the elk herd. How's it doing, and are we progressing?
We do surveys every year to try to keep an eye on that population, and it's still floating upwards around 400, 500 animals. And so it's kind of the last year or two we haven't seen the growth, but it's doing just fine. Those guys over in North Cumberland do a tremendous job trying to create habitat and put in some extra food plots for those elk to keep them on the area, so our hunters have a wonderful opportunity. Given the success rate of our elk hunt, I think it's somewhere about 85% right now.
Wow.
You can't help but say that's got to be a hunt of a lifetime.
Well, I know that. I know it's a hunt of a lifetime for me. It's I've said if I make a hole in one, I'm quitting golf. If I ever get drawn for the elk hunt, I'm out of here. Okay, that's my goal in life, is to do that. And I'm looking again, and we've talked about this, Daryl. I see the three people that were selected. Are we getting more from West Tennessee, or as people? I mean, I can't believe you folks out there don't at least put your name in our listening area in West Tennessee to try to get drawn, because I know we had one. Seemed like we had one last year. We've had West Tennessee, but the participation is still, I guess, mostly from Middle and East Tennessee.
Yeah. No, well, the last time I looked, and I didn't look this year, but the last time I looked, it was over 90% were coming primarily from East Tennessee and Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
The odds of those West Tennessee hunters getting drawn, it's simply because there's not as many of those folks putting in for it, and it's understandable because the folks in East Tennessee and even Middle Tennessee have been to that area, know that area, and know what they're putting in for. Some of the West Tennessee hunters may not be familiar with North Cumberland Wildlife Management Area and be a little bit hesitant to put in for it, but I tell you what, if you do get drawn, there's usually people crawling out of the woodwork to help you out.
Yeah, I know that, and I also know that at one time it could have been land between the lakes here, so if we go way back and everything, but again, and I know, Daryl, the elk is big news that you guys announced, and that's part of your program and everything like that, but I know Dave, and you can have all the elk you want over there, but we know where most of the deer are.
Yeah. Obviously one of the big things that slowed down the elk restoration project was the whole CWD. When CWD jumped the Mississippi River, pretty much all the states shut down their borders, and we got caught up in that. We couldn't get anywhere else. But now that the federal government has provided a lot of testing regulations and making sure that if animals move, that they're heavily tested, it's opened up the opportunity to possibly get more elk. So it's still on the drawing board. If there's an opportunity where we can get it, we can make sure that we get a safe shipment. That's something we absolutely will still consider. I don't have any definite plans as of right now, but I know Steve Bennett, our elk coordinator, has been asking to see if we can potentially get more elk from land between the lakes, because they may have surplus animals here shortly.
Right.
Well, I know that before we let you go, I know that I'm seeing a lot of young deer. I mean, this is we've had a lot of rain. It's been a great summer for growth and all sorts of vegetation and thing, I'm imagining. So
and we're going to have a mass crop in West Tennessee.
Yes. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So
well, I tell you what, I was just on a website the other day where people were posting pictures of their trail cameras, and
yeah.
Boy, you want eye candy. I cannot believe some of the deer that people are posting pictures of. It's pretty amazing. So,
well,
if you want to grow big deer, you can absolutely grow big deer if you put your mind to it.
You don't even have to Photoshop them. I mean, they're there. I'm looking at them. I've seen them and everything. Well, Daryl Ratajczak, thank you, buddy, for being with us as always. Great information, and we'll talk to you down the road. Okay.
All right, sounds good, Larry.
Thanks, Daryl. All right, Daryl Ratajczak.
And
he's
I had to ask that question because, Daryl, when he took the reins up there in our elk program, we had some of the strictest protocols in place to making sure we got disease-free elk. And it's kind of urgent that I don't throw Kentucky out there. They got theirs from anywhere, and then. When the CWD, like I said, the skier jumped the Mississippi River, Kentucky was one of the first ones that said, no, you're not bringing any more elk in Tennessee. And I'm going, give me a break.
Yeah. And I know that Dan Hicks and all those guys going up there, I can remember that like yesterday, that Dan's in that caravan coming back with all those elk,
And I got to throw, I don't know whether you know it or not, I'll throw a shout. Dan just retired from TWRA.
No, I did not know that.
Last Tuesday.
Wow.
Was his last day.
Well, congratulations, Dan, one of our good friends. And
my counterpart, the Minister of Propaganda in Region 3.
Yes, that's right. And done a great job. Law enforcement, all sorts. Always a spokesman for the Sandhill Cranes. What will they do without Dan Hicks now?
Mr. Crane.
Mr. Crane himself. Yeah. All right, let's take another break on Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Be right back to talk some more TWRA. Dave Gabbert, Gene Smith in studio, Justin Wood, our show producer. We'll be right back.
And it's calling you and me. We're the mighty Mississippi flows by Memphis, Tennessee.
Now back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Gaston's White River Resort, and Barton Power Sports.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790. This is Larry Ray talking to you. I do each and every Saturday morning for 90 minutes. I do, yes.
You do.
I do. We haven't
Except
missed.
when we let you go to the woods, then you whisper.
Yeah, I'm going to whisper. I'm thinking about doing that for sure on November, the first Saturday in November. I will be doing that.
Second Saturday in November.
Second Saturday in November, whatever it is. Well, whatever it is. That's when I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. I may even do it in October. I don't know. We'll find out. But
No wonder.
No wonder. So, but normally taking your calls, but we're not taking calls today because we got jammed up information from the TWRA, which we're devoting most of today's show to, just about all of it. And we've already talked to Bill Cox, the member of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. We just talked to Daryl Ratajczak, TWRA Wildlife Division Chief. And now we're going to switch and talk a little waterfowl and migratory game birds with Joe Benedict. He is the TWRA State Waterfowl and Migratory Game Bird Coordinator. And
Joe's our latest addition to the section.
Yes, in a long line of additions here. So he's following line along. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, folks. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing great, and I know that you were at Jackson last week.
Yes.
And there was some information passed along. You guys had come up with some waterfowl dates, and explain the process here, Joe, as Dave gets ready to ask you some technical questions I know he's thinking about. But
what's a duck?
Yeah. Explain the process you guys go through to come up with waterfowl dates and things like this.
Okay, well, it's really there's two separate processes that kind of go concurrent with each other, or they're kind of dovetailed together. And of course, we know that
dovetail. I like that dovetail from the game bird. Oh, that's good.
You need one of those.
Yeah.
Right. So most of your audience probably knows that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service are ultimately responsible for migratory game birds, including ducks and geese, and then states, of course, underneath that framework or umbrella, we then have responsibility to our state. To set the seasons. And so we've got a federal process that goes on, and then the state process goes on sort of after the federal process happens. And so it kicks off with, if you think about a calendar year, with May pond counts, and we're looking at the prairie potholes in Canada, North Dakota, South Dakota, some areas of the boreal forest. What are the habitat conditions for breeding waterfowl this year? That'll give us a good indication of what things are looking like as far as habitat for these ducks. We'll follow that up with some pair counts, and then finally some brood counts, again in the same areas, prairie pothole Canada primarily. The breeding populations will come out. We'll then have harvest strategies that we use for things like pintails that we know those populations are highly variable, and we have these strategies that we kind of plug in the numbers, and it kind of spits out what the season is going to be. We all probably remember 30-day pintail seasons, and now we have we go up to a maximum of 2 pintails, and so after that process happens, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service publishes proposed early season frameworks. So in other words, we're going to have a 60-day season, we're going to have a 30-day season. What do we think? What do we anticipate happening? And then usually the states will go in there and set our specific regulations, and then send those into the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and then the feds will come back with a final season frameworks, and they'll publish those typically right before the seasons start. So that's the overall process. Well,
we're talking to Joe Benedict, and he is the TWRA State Waterfowl and Migratory Game Bird Coordinator here on Outdoors with Larry Ray. And I know, Joe, there was talk. There are a lot of people anxiously awaiting what the season dates would be. A lot of talk about opening it on Thanksgiving, talk about opening it on the same day as the deer season. Did we get what you thought we'd get?
Well, that's a good question. There's no biological reason to either pick one or the other. In other words, you're right. The question is, do we have a late and straight season like we had last year, which opened Thanksgiving Day and went for 60 days to the last Sunday in January, which is as late as the federal frameworks allow.
Right.
We had the same situation again here this year, and so there's no biological difference, if you will, if we open on Thanksgiving and hunt that Thursday, Friday, or if we take those 2 days essentially and move them to the weekend before. So our division recommendation to the commission was to open on Thanksgiving. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that. We did it last year and received very little pushback on that. We had a survey that we did, a web poll, and some other information. But again, our commission had a tough decision. We started to hear from folks about 2 months ago, saying they didn't want to hunt Thanksgiving. It was a choice between family and hunting. And so the commission looked at all the information, and they had about an hour debate maybe a little bit longer, during the commission meeting, and they essentially went with having a split duck season, opening the weekend before Thanksgiving. This is a statewide season, mind you, not the Reelfoot zone.
Yeah.
So the dates for this year are November 22nd and 23rd, and then it'll pick up the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is November 29th, and run straight through January 15th. So there's a lot of social considerations, and so you're right. This year will open, waterfowl season will open the same weekend as gun deer season. And as far as the folks in the room at the commission meeting, we weren't aware that happened previously. So this will be a little bit of an experiment, although unintentional.
Well, Gabbert's already looking at next year already. He's already telling me.
Because the problem will be solved, you know.
Yeah, the calendar works out next year where we go to January 31st.
That's right.
So
Thanksgiving occurs